Here I am at the painting part of my paper mache journey. So let's get these cats painted. Algonquin is by Fusion Mineral Paint, and it's that nice it's kind of a taupey beigey kind of color. It'll be a good base for these guys. I'm not even 100% sure on how I'm going to finish them exactly, but we're going to start with this. My reason on going with Fusion Mineral Paint as my base color, because this will seal it. Fusion's got a built-in sealer, so I won't have to worry about my paint coming off and reactivating. My base anyways. So this is a mix of coal black and chocolate by Fusion Mineral Paint. And I've added some salt wash to make it super thick. And I don't know what the mix is. It might be 50-50, but I don't remember. I just found it on the shelf. So I've obviously made it for something else before, and I had a bunch left. So I am just dabbing it on, which is giving me this texture. I'm just going along and I'm putting it pretty thick. The added texture is helping to disguise. There's these ridges because remember, these are wicker vases underneath all this paper mache. So I'm just trying to disguise that a little bit. So I have done this part of the body earlier. And this is just a comb, a normal men's whatever hair comb that I cut in half. And all I'm doing is brushing kind of lightly over where I've done the stipple. This is starting to dry quite a bit here already. So my crazy plan for this is that it is giving me kind of a hair-like texture. So I'm just gonna quickly show you this. And these I can just knock off. But see that texture? So I'm hoping in the grand scheme of things, that's gonna be what I want. Now it's time for the second coat, and I'm using a spatula to put it on this time because I need it to be thicker to cover up those ridges from the wicker vase underneath. So I just apply it, and then as it's formed a little bit of a crust, I go over it with the comb again, and this works way better as far as disguising those ribs that I've got. Okay, so I've started doing my thing on this cat. So I am adding some copper and some turquoise. And the copper is DIY Paints Pennies from Heaven, the copper patina. And the turquoise is DIY Paints Old 57. And I've got a little bit watered down in this little dollar store squeeze bottle. So that is what I'm doing. I've also added, I'm brushing on a little bit first. This is Layered Chocolate, also by DIY Paint. And I'm just adding a little bit to give that warmth on top of the black. I'm just kind of layering it all on here. So this can be, I can love this once it's done, or I can decide that I don't like it and I'm just gonna keep adding to it until I do like it. So that's kind of what's happening. I'm going to keep going on here. And first, I'm just taking some of this layered chocolate and I'm just brushing it on. And you can't even really see it, especially with the lighting. I'm kind of struggling with the lighting in here. I have a lot of big windows. It's making this kind of difficult be able to see. Then I've been giving it a spritz of water, just with a mister bottle. And then I'm just taking I think I have to add some water to this, or more paint rather. And I'm just kind of squeezing this on in random places. Yeah, I definitely need to add some more paint. Okay. So there's no like rhyme or reason to how I'm doing this. I'm just kind of adding it. And you can see how it kind of spreads. Well, it's kind of spreads, creates its own. And then same thing with the copper. I'm just gonna squirt out little bits. And I know it looks like a hot mess right now, but that's okay. Then again, I'm going to take my spritzer, mister bottle, and I'm going to give it a little spritz of water. It just helps that paint move. And it kind of evens it out a little bit. And it gives it a little bit more of kind of an organic look. So when I look at it in the camera, I'm seeing a lot of turquoise on this side and not enough on this side. So I'm just going to add a little bit of copper over here. Probably too much. And a little bit down in here. And this is just little bits. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the turquoise on this side. So the copper is a patina. So it's got a kind of a built-in top coat. Whereas the turquoise does not. Okay, now that kind of evened it out a little bit, if you see what I mean. And then up here, and I'm very obviously not going for an actual realism here. These cats are probably gonna go in my house. I have copper sinks in certain areas. I have a lot of turquoise accents. Those are kind of my colors. So I like that kind of rusty patina kind of copper. And when copper is oxidized, you get the turquoise color on it. So they go together really well. So it's kind of the method to my madness here. I've kind of got a lake going on here. So I'm just going to, this is also why I did the base paint. I used Fusion because it has a built-in top coat. Whereas if I would have just used DIY paint over my paper mache, the DIY paint will reactivate until you seal it. So it could have caused some squishy issues with my paper mache. I've never done any of this paper mache stuff before, so this is a total new project for me. And I'm just winging it. I've done this whole look before, but never on this kind of a substrate. So I'm just gonna see what happens. All right. So it's cat time. And see these bodies? I like the heads. Like I love that face. Oops, going the wrong way. I like how the faces have turned out on both of them. But their bodies, to me, look like there's some old statues sitting in a park and a bird has been pooping all up on them. And I don't like that. So we're going to work on their little bodies. Not little bodies, this one's pretty round. This one's kind of tall and thin. But I'm going to try to work on them on a horizontal versus vertical so that it doesn't just run like this. I want to create a little bit more kind of blocky clumps of color. So bear with my English because I don't know what's going on, but my words are just flying on another time zone, or I don't know what's going on, but I cannot seem to grasp the words that I want to grasp lately. So my vocabulary has completely gone out the window. So I'm blaming audiobooks. I know that sounds really weird, but you know, when you read, your vocabulary increases. So I have not been physically like eyeballs to paper reading as much as I used to, and I really think that's affecting my vocabulary. It's just my thought. Maybe completely out to lunch thought, but it's my thought. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of blotch a little bit of this on there, and then I'm going to give it a spritz. Oh yeah, this is gonna work way better. And then of course, I'm gonna grab a little pot of water and a brush, and I'm just going to use the brush to kind of drag that through just a little bit. And this is Copper Patina by DIY Paint. Okay, so I'm kind of liking how that is given. Let's change camera angles here for a sec. So see how that gave more of a solid block of color versus what I've got going on down here where it's just kind of all running. I like how that's focused my color in that one spot. So I'm going to continue on with that plan because I think it's working pretty good. Actually, I'm just going to get rid of me altogether. Here we go. Okay. So no real rhyme or reason here. And let's come in with a little bit of copper. This squeeze bottle that I have the copper in is a little bit bigger. So I gotta be a little bit more careful. I like doing this technique because I find that when you use a lot of water, you get a lot of movement, but I like that you can just keep adding layers. So this is kind of what I'm going to just keep doing here. So when you get a look that you like, I set it with the heat tool because it'll stay then. It won't keep moving because there's so much water in this kind of technique. And I want to kind of keep that. I don't want it to just keep moving. I do like how there's like way more color blocking here now. I'm thinking I want to add a little bit more. It's all layers. I just keep adding until I like it, and I don't like it yet. So now let's go with a layer of, this is layered chocolate, so this is that dark brown. And I am just going to go with some of this and tone down a little bit of all of this. Okay, I'm kind of liking that now. So I'm just putting this paint, I'm just putting on straight. It's not watered down at all. It's just right out of the container. And then I'm just misting it a little bit to help with movement. And then of course I've got my little water here. And I'm not worried about grabbing all of it. If there's some raised points that is where the paint is raised, that's okay. Okay, I'm liking that a lot better, actually. And then with just little specks of this turquoise in there. Okay, I like that way better. Okay, I'm going to work on the other one, but so far I am liking how this guy's looking now. Okay, so here's the taller one. And I like him way better now. Looks a little less bird poopy, I think. And then here's the little short guy. And same with him. So I'm gonna let these dry really well. And then we are going to seal them. I have so much paint. We're going to seal them then after they've dried thoroughly and see if I want to do any touch-ups. But I think we're pretty much done, which is exciting. Okay, so after I'm kind of embarrassed to say how long it has taken me to finish these cats, but they're done. I like how they turned out. I was questioning whether after I applied the clear coat, if I was gonna come back and add to them, but I think they're good. I really like their faces. And to me, they look like old kind of bronze statues that have kind of weathered and have that patina, that oxidization has happened to them. So I like how that's turned out. So after a really long time, they are done. And so inspiration for this project was, I took Roycycled Treasures, I took her paper mache class. I want to say it was in June, but maybe it was earlier than that. But I took that class, which taught me how to see everyday objects in a different light. And that's what turned into these guys, because underneath these big round bellies on both of them and the long necks are wicker vases. So I will post a picture so that you can see how these started out. And I just walked by them and I thought those would make kind of cute. I originally thought bunnies. Oh, so this class, the paper mache class, was before Easter. So a really long time ago. So I started out with those wicker vases. I started out with those and I wrapped them. My original plan was to be able to use them as a base so that I could reuse the vases over and over again, but that just isn't going to happen. So they're in there. I'm going to go with, it just gives them some extra stability, so that works. Thanks so much for joining me.